Actually, no. After watching James Gunn's Superman a second time, I appreciated the movie a lot more. So before you go attacking me in the comment section, know that I sort of changed my mind. If I gave it a 5 or a 6 out of 10 before, it's probably an 8 right now. In fact, I'm not so sure anymore if I prefer Man of Steel or this movie. I'm going to have to watch Man of Steel again to formulate my final opinion on that matter. But as of now, I've changed my mind. I actually really like the movie. David Corenswet and Rachel Brosnahan as Superman and Lois Lane is really spot on with the casting. They have really, really good chemistry throughout the film. And at a time where Hollywood is all about being progressive or fake virtue signaling, it's a breath of fresh air. Especially in the interview scene where Lois Lane could have easily girl-bossed Clark Kent. It was well written in such a way where Superman needed to consider the repercussions of his actions and how it will look in the public eye. And at the same time, he needed the mental fortitude to withstand criticism, whether it's constructive or not. So the relationship of Superman and Lois Lane remains one of the best parts of the film. And of course, I also have to give props to Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, Nathan Fillion as Green Lantern, and of course, Eddie Gattegi as Mr. Terrific. So all in all, very good casting. And now for the meat and potatoes on what changed my mind. So one of the biggest criticisms I had when I watched the movie for the first time is that I feel that Superman was beaten way too much. As one of the strongest superheroes supposedly in the universe, I feel that he was getting beaten up way too many times when I watched it the first time around. But after watching it a second time, I don't think that's the problem. The actual problem is that Superman needed more time actually being strong and not just in the final chapter. So it just needed more scenes where Superman was actually winning rather than being beaten up almost pretty much the entirety of the movie. He was being outsmarted left and right. His companions were actually better or were actually more intelligent. But I feel that if Superman had more victories or wins in these battles, or was actually more clever, maybe they removed that. Maybe they removed it somewhere along the way. But if there were more scenes of him actually winning, that would have diminished, in my opinion. My point of view of him being too weak all throughout would have diminished. And okay, guys, I get it. He needed to have some sort of weakness because if he's strong all throughout the movie, it's going to be boring. I get that. But it's literally at the start of the film. He's the strongest metahuman in the universe. So you got to show more of that at least to balance it out throughout the film. At least that's what I think. The other major criticism I had was that there was too many characters in this movie, which sort of up to now I do feel that way. But given the plot of Bravia and Johanper and what's going on in the United States, I sort of get it that he couldn't be in all these places at once. So James Gunn needed more heroes in the fray. So after watching it a second time, I sort of forgiven that part, but at the same time, there's still too much heroes, particularly Hawkgirl and Crypto having way too much prime time. Crypto's prime time in this movie is just too much that to the point that towards in the middle or in the later chapters, he got way too annoying. As for Hawkgirl, I feel like she could have done better in a later movie or she could have made her appearance later in the movie because her role here is kind of minor and it feels like she just got shoehorned here. And going back to Crypto, so before the movie was released in public, there was a scene that got leaked, particularly the one where Superman figures out that Crypto got kidnapped. So at first, I thought that the scene was all right because I was under the impression that this is a brand new Superman or he just took up the mantle as Superman. So I thought that scene was all right. But then we find out at the start of the film that this Superman has been doing his superhero work for quite a while now. So it should be that he should be more composed at this point or being able to better handle his emotions. And not to mention, find out in the end, it's not his actual dog. It belongs to Supergirl. So I feel that he did kind of overreact during that scene, and which is kind of disjointed or not consistent with the overall story that the movie wanted to tell. But apart from that, yeah, I did appreciate the story and the overall plot a lot more. The Pocket Universe, Mr. Terrific, and being able to eventually understand, or at least I've changed my mind that Superman can't be in all these places at once. That's why all these superheroes are brought in. But again, I think there's still too much superheroes. Like Green Lantern is fine, Mr. Terrific is fine, and Metamorpho or Menorpho. I sorry if I mispronounce his name, but yeah, I think that's fine. Like Hawkgirl, like yeah, she should have just been in the sequel. as well as like crypto having too much time in the screen. It's really in an excessive level. It's to the point where it becomes obnoxious. But other than that, it's really actually a very enjoyable film, to my surprise. I thought that I wouldn't change my mind, but I actually like the film. And I am glad it's sort of catching up to Man of Steel, at least as per the latest numbers in this website. If I take this in face value, it's getting pretty close to the performance of Man of Steel, which is great. But again, as to whether or not I like Man of Steel better, I'm going to have to give it the same chance as I did with this movie to give my final opinion on which movie is better. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed Superman, and I think I'll give it an 8 out of 10 now. And I'm very much looking forward to what James Gunn comes up next. I do have more confidence now that he'll actually be able to pull it off and actually make a better DC universe, at least compared to Zack Snyder, where I think that it was strong at the start with Man of Steel, but it really went downhill onwards. So I think James Gunn has a good shot of making better sequels or succeeding films to actually build a good DCU. So yeah, that's my review after rewatching Superman. What do you think about Superman? Do you still hate it, or maybe did you change my mind like I did for better or for worse? Let me know. And do give me feedback on this more raw take or more review. It's not scripted, as you guys probably noticed. Maybe I should do this more often if you guys like it, or maybe not. Maybe it sucks. Let me know. And that's about it. Do subscribe if you guys want. Enjoy the content, and I will see you guys next time.